Social media is actually doing a lot of damage to our whole society. One of the signs of that damage is the fact that you are very depressed and constantly filled with anxiety. A lot of you have regular problems with depression and anxiety. And I'm going to tell you right now that probably 90% of the source of your depression and your anxiety is the same as everyone else's. When social media became part of the fabric of our society, the amount of prescriptions written and the amount of therapists needed rose dramatically. Social media is a tremendous source of the anxiety and the depression that you are feeling in your life right now. So why is social media causing so many problems for you and everyone else? Social media was designed to be addictive. When somebody hits that little like button, you get a hit of dopamine. That is how addiction works. You can be addicted to all kinds of things. You can be addicted to almost anything. As long as it gives you that little hit of dopamine every time you do it, that will eventually lead you into an addiction. Many foods are designed to give you that hit of dopamine because they want you to be addicted. Social media was also designed to be very addictive. That is what keeps you going back. That is what keeps you looking at the screen as often as possible so that they can sell you ads, or so that they can sell your viewership to the ad companies. When the product is free and it costs you nothing to use it, that means you are the product. So in order to make the product more reliable, it is best to make it addictive. They do that by giving you the little like button and the little share button. You also get a little hit of dopamine whenever someone leaves a comment. Also, if you're used to getting those little dopamine hits from the likes and the shares, when suddenly you do not get them, it has the opposite effect. You were hoping to get your reward, your little hit of dopamine. Your addiction's reward is the dopamine. And if it is not there when it is supposed to be there, that actually increases the addiction, and eventually it can cause you to be very depressed. Have you ever wondered why people who are used to having a very big social media audience are having such a hard time when they only get 10,000 views instead of, say, 20,000 views? That is because their addiction has taught them that they need that response. And when they do not get it, even though it is still a lot, it is not enough. Social media also has a lot of negative information. Whether it's information that you wanted to hear, but just negative, even though it is on the side of whatever your filter says you should have, or whether it is just negative because it is not something that you ever wanted to see before. There is so much of it, and it is so constant, you are constantly being berated with negative feedback. Even when you get what you want by likes and shares, you're getting a little dopamine hit, so you have to keep doing it, even though what you are sharing or hearing or seeing is very, very bad, and you hate it. But yet you have to keep going back to it, because you are addicted. Ask anyone who is addicted to food or alcohol or tobacco, how do they feel about themselves after they get what they were looking for and they get their little dopamine hit? They feel terrible. They feel terrible. But they cannot stop because they are suffering from an addiction. Social media also uses this concept in persuasion called focus. That means that whatever detail is in front of you at that very moment is the most important thing in the world, and everything else gets forgotten. This is just human nature. That is how your mind works. In a way, you would need that in order to survive. If you were in the woods and you got attacked by a bear, well, nothing else is going to be more important than the animal who is trying to kill you. This same concept works even when you are talking about things that are not nearly as important as a life survival incident. Take any detail at all, any issue, any point of focus, and make that the center point of the conversation. Make that the only thing that is important in the whole world. And even some of the smallest issues can seem like the biggest issues in the world. This is why a lot of social media drama is based on things that really, in the grand scheme of your life, does not matter. It does not matter at all about who likes who, or who hates who, or whether or not someone has the right point of view, or anything else that you might find in social media drama. But why does everyone think it is so important? Because that is what is the focus. That is the thing in front of everyone. By generating a focus on one specific detail, you forget all of the other details. This also hurts the argument because it ignores all of the other details that are attached to it, but are also equally important. But because no one is looking at those details, they get completely forgotten. And that is also why, especially if you are coming in late, when you look at a conversation, its content, how it is focused, and the ideas that people are having in that conversation in a social media environment, you might actually look at that and say, these people are all stupid. These people are all crazy. No one here is actually thinking about what is really going on. They are focused on this one detail that does not really make any sense. In fact, it might be the most unimportant detail of whatever issue they are discussing, but because it has become the focus of that conversation, no one can really seem to get off of it. Social proof is another really big part of how social media works and how it works against you. Social proof is that concept in persuasion that says that if the whole group believes a certain thing, it must therefore be true. That, of course, is not true. There can be times when the whole group, even the whole world, can be totally wrong. Just because most people think a certain thing, that alone does not mean it is true. Think of this as a basic animal instinct. If you were standing on the street, minding your own business or walking to the store, and then suddenly a large group of people goes running by you. They are not wearing numbers, they are not wearing sneakers, no one is speaking, they are all just running, and they run in the opposite direction that you are walking. What would you do? You would probably assume, well, they all must be running from something. They all must be doing it for a reason. You might very well turn right around and start running in the same direction, and you have no idea why. You have no idea where you are going. You have no idea where they are going. You have no idea if they even know where they are going. But you are doing it anyway because everyone else is doing it. That is called social proof. Social media uses this concept in a way to imply that everybody on social media must be saying it, so it must be important. Your opinion is being assigned to you in that very moment. When you look at social media and you see everyone talking about a certain topic and everyone having the same opinion, and then you think, well, everyone thinks this, so therefore it must be true. But that is not always right. Sometimes maybe it is, but most of the time it is not. Cancel culture, a form of terrorism, weaponizes all of these elements in social media in order to, well, hurt you. It uses social proof to tell you that you are not worth it. It uses focus to make you focus on whatever one thing you did or said wrong. It is also using that focus on everyone else who's in on it, because now they are all focused on the same thing, to tell you and everyone else that you either did something bad or said something bad, and that you are not worth the effort of giving another chance to, of moving past your mistakes. Cancel culture weaponizes all of these principles of social media to hurt anyone it wants to hurt. Remember, even if the whole world is saying one thing, that is not evidence that it is true. Just because cancel culture works, that does not mean it is accurate, and that also does not mean that it is right. Just because everyone is saying something, and just because everyone is focused on one specific detail, that does not mean that that one thing is in fact the most important thing, and it also does not mean that they are right. Social proof is just how the lizard brain keeps you alive so that you do not die in a fire, and so that you do not die by being attacked by a wild beast chasing a crowd. So now if you look at the whole picture of how social media works, you can kind of see why it is such a drag. Social media is addicting, and when you do not get the reward from your addiction, it will make you feel bad. Social media is also a method for social proof, and if everyone believes something negative is happening, even if it is not really happening, that it will make you feel bad, because you have been convinced of a reality that may not even exist, merely because it looks like everyone else believes it. So you believe it too. Social media will also have this ability, because of social proof and because of your addiction, to cause you to focus on a very specific topic. And maybe you did not even want to focus on that topic, but you will do it anyway because everyone else is doing it. And you will believe whatever they are saying because everyone else believes it. You might find that you feel terrible because of what social media is telling you, only to turn around and find out later that everything you were told was completely false. You went through all that for no reason. So how do you fix this problem? How do you deal with cancel culture? How do you deal with social media anxiety? Well, one of the easiest tricks is to shut it off. Remember, you still have control over the power button, and you can still decide what you look at and do not look at. You may be addicted, just like everybody else is, but you can still overcome the addiction of social media. You can find some way to lock up your phone and keep it in a drawer, away from your view and away from your reach, and go find something else to do. Go get outside, go for a walk, go hiking, and go without your phone. Take a break from your phone and from social media for as long as you practically can. Do it for a day, do it for a week. Maybe you'll do it for several weeks. You may decide that you like it so much you may never go back to it ever again. And if you did not, would you really be losing anything? Get away from your phone for at least a day. That should be enough to tell you if it's really affecting your mood. After just one day of getting away from social media, you may find that you suddenly feel a lot better. If that happens, then you know that your primary source of anxiety and depression is coming from social media. And that kind of makes it easier. Now you know that if you want more of that improvement in your attitude and in the way you feel, then you can spend more time away from social media. When you are on social media, what you can do is you can customize the focus that you have while you were there. Follow certain accounts that only give you very positive information. Follow accounts that help you to improve yourself, or maybe they just make you feel better, and maybe it is just a timeline full of platitudes, but who cares? You can use social media to focus on something that you've always wanted to accomplish, as well as making it something that is focused on things that are very positive. That will help you. If you want to get away from a lot of the problems that you are getting from social media, take a break, and then when you come back, refocus your timeline on the things that you want to see rather than just letting it happen and then dealing with the consequences later. Bye-bye, bunnies.